Really weird stuff. That's very weird.
Really Weird Stuff is a holistic Twin Peaks podcast. That means we discuss each episode within the context of the series as a whole. In other words, spoilers abound. Alright, welcome to episode 32 of Really Weird Stuff, a Twin Peaks podcast. Is it future or is it past?
This has been flying by.
I know. I'm Jessica Baxter.
I'm Annie Malone. Maybe by this point that's really my name.
Yes. I guess we should say we are recording
like
this.
Only yesterday we were doing number 8.
We're recording this episode right after number 8. Yeah. Just because we're taking advantage of the proximity of our guest today, who is Matthew Brennan IV, aka Two Thangs, all the way from Providence, Rhode Island. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, how's it going?
We're so excited to have you here talking about the return with us. Can you tell me about your relationship with Twin Peaks?
Well, I watched it when it originally aired when I was very small with my parents, and I just remember the whole thing. It definitely stuck with me. Later on, I grew a big appreciation for all things Lynch. I'm actually just now getting into the return because when it originally aired, I was so excited, and I started watching it, and I got like maybe 6 or 7 episodes in, and I do most of my TV watching as like a background watching while I'm doing stuff. You can't background watch the return at all. I was like, I got to fully devote myself, and then, I realized it was 18-hour long episodes, and I was like, when do I have 18 hours to just fully watch this? So on my long plane rides out here, I've been getting through some episodes and really enjoying it.
Yes, we, at this point, have finished all of Season 1 and Season 2. We're now talking about the 25 years later reboot, sort of, slash, I don't know if reboot is even the right word. It's just like the
return.
It's the return.
I didn't know you were planning a comeback.
I hate that word. It's return. A return to the millions of people who've never forgiven me for deserting the screen.
Fair enough.
It's the long-awaited 3rd season.
Right.
It's the purest Lynch available, pure uncut David Lynch.
So I would say, what is it? The last movie, Inland Empire?
Yeah.
I guess, alright, I understand it gets weirder and weirder as it goes, and I'm still like...
The Return?
Yeah, The Return.
I mean, Inland Empire is also pure Lynch, but this is the reason this is so notable is because the original series was obviously filtered. He was beholden to a lot of producers, and that's why he stepped away for the 2nd season, is because he wasn't really allowed to have creative freedom. So here, the whole deal was, I'm only going to do it if you let me do exactly what I want to do.
Wow.
And so they said, okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of amazing. And then the downside to Inland Empire is that was all his own money.
Oh.
So even though it is like unfiltered creative vision from a script standpoint, who knows what it would have looked like if he'd had good cameras and filters and color correction and all the good stuff that costs a lot of money. Editor's note. In May 2023, they released a 4K remaster of Inland Empire with 5:1 surround DTS HD master audio and an uncompressed stereo soundtrack.
One of my favorite parts of this Lynch is he has the budget. Things are looking real beautiful, but the way he gets to creepiness is not through special effects or even traditional effects. It's all film play, It's like making it grainy, making it flutter, making it weird. And he uses that stuff so much, and it doesn't look smooth. It's jarring, know?
Right.
And it's so effective, and it doesn't even cost that much. He could hire some VFX team to lip them out in a more seamless transition like most movies. But no, they're just like, cut, he's gone,
Yeah.
I find that really fascinating, that he has that ability, and he still chooses the film play to create that vibe.
Yeah, it's like true art. I mean, it's absolutely the purest form of cinematic art expression. There's two shots I really love from, I mean, there's a million, but from this first episode of The Return, two shots that are so striking to me are the one that you end up seeing every episode of the top of the waterfall. That's obviously like shot with a drone, and it's just you never see a waterfall from that vantage point unless you're fucked, right? Like if you see it like that, you're going over, but a drone can let you see that, and that's why it feels so weird, because you would just never look at a waterfall that way. And then the same with his like New York City skyline shot.
Yeah, that's a beautiful shot.
You never see New York that way. You always see it from a low horizon. You never see just the tippy top, and it's just all lights.
Yeah.
It just looks like Tron almost. It's crazy, and it's so disturbing.
Yeah.
Ugh. And I'm sure those shots were so cheap. Like, that's the kind of thing you couldn't do in the old days when it was, like, literally a crane. But now any asshole could buy a drone and put a nice camera on him, fly it up the air.
Right.
That's the best possible use for drones.
Definitely. I mean, in his filmmaking, he loves these ghostly shots floating in from different angles, and you're farther away than you need to be. So, I mean, I feel like drone work for him is probably just like, oh, I can control exactly using those camera stabilizers and stuff to just make it so unearthly.
Yeah. He is a master at the Steadicam look as well, making it so smooth that you almost don't notice that it's Steadicam, and that's what makes it feel especially weird, because you're like, this seems like it should be a still shot, but it's not.
Yeah.
Especially the shot, we're jumping ahead a little bit, we will go through the episode, but when they're in Ruth Davenport's apartment, it's so Mulholland Drive, with the camera going around the corner of the apartment into the bedroom. At first you're not even sure if it's moving up and down side to side, but it is moving very steadily around. Oh, it's so good. I just love every little thing he does. So this episode, the first episode of The Return, is called My Log Has a Message for You. And it originally aired on Showtime May 21st, 2017, and it was screened alongside Part 2 and as a single movie for the Cannes Film Festival that year. Oh. And then they also released a TV-14 edit, boring, on YouTube for a limited time for National Donut Day in June 2017.
Wow.
Why would you do that, though? Like, why would you watch an edited version of it? That's not the way to celebrate Donut Day. That's a donut crime, is what that is.
Yeah.
But, you know, he didn't have any control over the promotion of it. He only had control over the making of it. This was such a long time coming. They really were working on it, and they apparently were in negotiations for a lot of those 25 intervening years.
Wow.
David did always want to go back to it, but he hated his experience so much on season 2 and working with ABC that he was just like, I'm not going to do it. There's just no way I'm going to do it unless I can do it on my own terms. And then it just took that long for someone to be like, okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Right.
It's so shocking to me. Producers are like the biggest idiots.
Yeah.
Is there any producer that has good taste?
No, I mean, that's why they're producers and not directors. Yeah, I mean, it seems so strange how he even got it on the air in the first place. I mean, he still was like riding that Dune popularity, or I mean, that was a pretty much universally panned movie, but it was big, so he had a big name. Everyone at least respected him, but there just had to be one weirdo at ABC who greenlit this, you know, because there wasn't really murder mystery shows before this, and definitely not one that was as weird as Twin Peaks. When this came back, when The Return happened, I just remember reading such great articles, like Brian Fuller, like all the people in TV being like, no, none of this would happen. Yeah. Even Sopranos, which you wouldn't think would have a connection, all the weird dream sequences in Sopranos definitely wouldn't have happened without Twin Peaks.
Oh my god, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first prestige television show, and pretty much every prestige drama afterwards owes it to them. It's the Beatles of prestige. Whether or not you know you're influenced by it, you're influenced by it.
Yeah.
Especially Weiner, Jesus Christ. I think he would admit that, though. And certainly Damon Lindelof talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, guilty, obviously. I remember watching the beginning of this episode. I mean, I remember watching the whole episode, but I was so appropriately excited. And then from the opening, just right from the opening, with that floor, and you're in the red room, and it's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Young Cooper sitting there, even though it's stuff we've already seen It's comforting. They kind of ease you in with, here's something I know you already like, right? That gummy like is coming back in style. And then Laura Palmer sets the scene by saying, I'll see you again in 25 years. Editor's note. In Fire Walk with Me, Laura does the same downward snap, directed at Buck in the Canadian Rockabilly Bar. She makes that hand gesture, which I researched. What the fuck does that hand gesture mean?
Okay.
This is just some person on the internet. So this is obviously like David Lynch will never say, yes, that's exactly what I had in mind.
Right.
Elaborate on that.
No.
This person thinks that it evokes cross-religious gestures for transcendence and blessings. And they have like a lot of statues of various deities from different religions that are sort of doing some variation of the way her hands were. The only thing I know about it from David Lynch's point of view is that Cheryl Lee talks about how he really worked with her a long time on the exact placement of the hands.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And she had a little trouble getting it, especially having to do it in reverse. Like, it's starting from there, and then, yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't think anyone gets enough credit for doing all that shit in reverse.
It's such a cool technique that he came up with, you know? It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Editor's note. At the time of recording, we neglected to mention the next several shots. Laura and Cooper in the Red Room fades to a sunbow atop the Snoqualmie Falls that flows behind the Great Northern Hotel. The captions read atmospheric music throughout and includes the high-pitched lodge hum that appears throughout the series. The image dissolves to the camera flying over misty trees surrounding Twin Peaks. It dissolves again to a new shot of the mill, now decommissioned and dilapidated, also surrounded by mist. It dissolves again to 3 shots from the pilot. The first is a static shot of the empty Twin Peaks High School hallway. The second is the tracking shot, as seen through a classroom window, of the girl running across the lawn, covering her face and crying. Here, her scream is slowed and filtered. This dissolves to the trophy case that displays Laura's infamous homecoming photo, right in the center. The camera slowly zooms in and then dissolves to a close-up of the photo, so that her face is briefly filling up the entire case in a ghostly apparition. The hum fades to a wind, and then we hear the familiar first notes of Falling by Angelo Badalamenti. Something we haven't seen before, though, is Cooper in the White Lodge with the fireman, who I think we don't know his name is the fireman yet. Well, he was the Giants.
It's a bunch of question marks.
And now he's a bunch of question marks. Eventually, he identifies himself as the fireman. And he's telling Cooper some shit that they don't get back to till the last episode.
Remember 430. Richard and Linda. 2 hours worth on.
I understand.
You haven't finished, right?
No, yeah.
Okay, so we won't go all the way through that, but remember Richard and Linda 430, 2 birds with 1 stone. Editor's note. Richard and Linda are the alternate personas that Cooper and Diane embody after they cross over, and Judy resets the timeline. Richard is also the name of Audrey's delinquent son, the result of a sexual assault by Shadow Coop. And Linda is the name of an unseen character, the wife of Mickey, the gentleman who accompanies Carl Rod into town.
How's Linda? She's doing a lot better. Got the government agencies to finally get one of them electric wheelchairs. Fucking war.
Listen to the sounds.
Listen to the sounds.
Editor's note. We come to learn that this scratching sound portends the arrival of Judy. Cooper hears it just before Laura is snatched from him in the woods at the end of part 17.
And Coop's like, I got it.
I love that.
And he's, well,
like,
but
glad Coop understands.
he says I understand, but how can he possibly? That's the thing. It sets
a
him
burning
off on like,
question.
because from there on out, he's like, I have a plan. and I get it, and I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing. So it's just kind of genius how it's all set up like this.
Yeah.
The Koopaloo.
What year is this?
And we believe him too. We're like, he does know what he's doing. It's gonna be fun.
I'll believe anything that comes out of that chin.
Right?
He's just so self-assured.
He's very trustworthy seeming.
Yeah.
But his self-assuredness wavers a little bit when the fireman says it's in our house now. He says it is.
It is in our house now.
It is.
It all cannot be said aloud now.
Does he even know what it is? Does he
Right.
know what that means? But then he decides that he does.
Right.
And the fireman says, you're far away, and then he kind of blips out.
You are far away.
My theory is that he's being projected there from the Red Room. Like, the fireman can't rescue him from the Red Room,
Oh.
but he can summon him, kind of, yeah.
Gotcha.
Cut to the mountains. This is Whitetail Peak. Jacoby's getting his delivery of shovels from Joe. I like that Joe still calls him Doc, even though he's lost his license to practice quite some time ago.
I mean, for the best.
Yes,
He
definitely.
was not a good therapist.
How's it going, Doc? You're as good as ever.
He seems like he's following his bliss.
Yeah, I love that it's starting where it needs to start and it gets you into that place where it just ended. But I'm just such a fan of how little fan service David Lynch does. Like, there's so many parts of the original Twin Peaks that he's just like, bye, you know? And I mean, like, the first real scene after the Red Room is the doctor in the woods, shot from far away. You can't really hear what they're saying. He's just buying some shovels off the back of a truck. It's so, like, you know, here we go, we're back in it. The fuck is this? Like, what's going on here?
He's setting the pace for you.
Yeah.
That's like his drummer clacking his sticks together, super fucking slow.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Like, this is what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a lot of Jacoby buying shovels. Some guy you've never seen before. Although his name is Joe, so I'm like, is that Joey the biker? But it's, like, canonically isn't, but I like to think it is.
I like the dude has 2 sunglasses, too. He rips off his regular one, so he's got the red and blue underneath.
He's like, still got him, I know. I mean, he does have little things like that, right?
Yeah.
But it's all on his terms.
Yeah.
He's like, you'll see the glasses if I want you to see them.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna do it.
I feel like this was the first time I noticed how utterly silent the episodes are. They're not afraid to just leave so much space. Because in the old ones, you know, you got that walking music. They're kind of cheesy, but they work with the soap opera quality of the whole thing. And it just fills it up. But here, it's just so blank. It's just like the sounds of the woods, picking up a box. They're not talking to each other. Especially brings to light some of the terrible acting because the lines just land like a thud.
Yeah, you don't have bottle and intake elevating anyone's performance.
And you just stare at them.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, and then later in the episode, there are people who are putting in really good performances, and they shine so much. Whereas I think because you're sitting in silence with some of them that are
Bunch
like...
of weirdos in the woods, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Or the next scene, we get the amazing overhead shot of NYC, and then we're in some crazy ass loft with Sam, a college student whose job is to watch a glass box in a big room filled with camera equipment.
What is that thing?
A glass box.
Yeah, but what's it for?
I really don't know.
Whose place is this?
Some anonymous billionaire.
Mysterious.
He sits on a couch watching it. He sits on just the left side of the couch. Or I guess it's his right, but it's funny that he leaves the space of this 2-person couch.
Well, I guess you
I mean,
wouldn't-
I would. I would, like...
You don't want to sit on the
You
seam?
didn't sit in the middle?
Not on the seam? Feels like you'd fall in.
Oh, was there a scene?
Well, like in between the 2
Even
cushions.
if it wasn't, I don't think I would sit in the middle.
Okay.
Editor's note. There is no seam in the couch cushion.
I wonder. I feel like I would
I want to
naturally.
be against,
Yeah.
the side.
Although he is sitting very
He sits
uncomfortably.
very upright.
Yeah.
He really watches it. Like, I can't believe he doesn't slack off and like look at his phone and
It's
shit.
his job. He takes his job seriously.
Well, does he though? Because...
Doesn't. Yeah. It's interesting what he decides to throw caution to the wind about. Get a fun feel for his job. Like, you really get a long time with Sam and his day-to-day tasks. Changing memory cards, writing dates on them, filing them. I like that he's got a little plant on his end table.
When you extend it, like he's just staring, then he's taking out the card and he's putting it away. It's like really drills in you that feeling of the boredom it takes to stare at an empty box 8 hours a day.
Yeah. One assumes he's getting compensated fairly well for that.
Yeah.
By some billionaire.
Some billionaire.
Some billionaire.
But he's got a delivery. He goes out to the lobby through a door with a secret code to open it. It's Tracy.
Tracy.
We know her name is Tracy because he says it in
lot.
every sentence.
Hey, Tracy. Tracy, I'm sorry, but no one can come in here.
I do have a little tidbit here is that the security guard is played by UFC former middleweight champion Michael Bisping.
Oh my god! I was wondering because he looks like a professional fighter of some kind.
He's a British fighter. He might have even been champion at the time of this. And he doesn't do much acting. So when I watched that, I was like, what is Michael Bisping doing there? How did he land it? He did like a couple of weird action movies or something, but he's not, some fighters you see pop up as like the tough guy at the bar or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he ended up in this, but...
I know, he's like a security guard that sits all day.
Yeah.
Just glower.
He just do some great glowering. Maybe he's a fan or something.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Editor's note from Wikipedia. On April 6th, 2016, Bisping announced that he had landed a role in the film XXX, The Return of Xander Cage. Later that month, Bisping revealed that he is a fan of the 1990s television series Twin Peaks, and that he had gained a small role in the 2017 continuation of the series. Tracy brings coffee. She brings 2 coffees.
It's like nighttime, right? Like
it's 10 p.m. She said she got off at 10 p.m.
So yeah,
it's after 10.
Funny time to drink a latte.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess they're young. They live in New York City.
I mean, he's working late, but I mean, she got off work. I think that's a funny time to have a latte.
I would if I were going out.
All right.
I don't drink coffee. I can't weigh in on this.
If I were going out and or trying to bang the boy I liked.
Right.
So, like I said, I don't know if they ever come back, but is her agenda to fuck the dude, or is her agenda to get into the room to look around?
I think both.
Both. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, she seems more interested in the room, but then when she gets in the room, she's like, all right, it's time to go. I don't know. I couldn't tell if later it comes back that she's been sent there to figure out,
Yeah, no, she's just a girl who has a crush on this guy who has a weird job, and she wants to know all about all of it.
Now I'm so curious.
Top secret.
Ooh. Now I'm so curious. You're driving me crazy.
In this scene, I feel like this is a pretty girl who is used to being charming, and it is not working, and she's like thrown by that. I like that dynamic. She's like, oh, now I'm so curious. Totally expecting that they'll be like, all right, let's let you have a little peek,
Yeah.
They're just like,
Yeah.
I think you're definitely right. And then at the end, it's like the weirdest one where he's going back in, and then he's like, why are you staring at my numbers?
Yeah, as he ever tries to see the numbers.
You're a bad girl, Tracy.
Try me.
Like, what's she gonna do with those numbers anyway?
right. The guard is still watching her.
Yeah. He watches her very closely. Mm-hmm. I think that's the correct read, because she's kind of smiling at him, and he's not smiling back, and then she kind of like looks down. Like, that's definitely not the kind of reaction she usually gets when she smiles at a man.
Yeah. But then it's so weird because once they later on in the episode get into the room and they're sitting on the couch, he is staring at her like a starving man in a steak.
Yeah.
He was just like, she's like looking at the box and he was just looking at her so hard. He was just playing it cool earlier.
Yeah. Well, he has to do it in front of the security guard.
Right.
Yeah.
He's gotta be all responsible. Yeah, he's very uneasy about it. And where did the guy go? We never know.
Yeah.
Editor's note. According to J.B. Minton, author of the book A Skeleton Key to Twin Peaks, the fireman removed the guard so that Sam and Tracy could distract Judy long enough for Cooper to escape. And she just seems so thrown by it, too, that him not being there. We'll get there. That's a very interesting scene. But first, we're at the Great Northern. Ben and Jerry and Beverly, the new girl.
Wow. How did the skunk get in her room?
Oh, no. It wasn't even close to a room. It was...
I am here, Brother Bear! Can't call a girl like that a girl.
Yeah.
A woman like that.
A woman like that you can't call a girl.
A woman like that. But a woman like Ashley Judd.
Yeah.
Beautiful Ashley Judd. I love it. Although she doesn't get to do much, Beverly, but...
No.
This is our first witness of Ben trying to be like a better dude later in life.
Right.
Are you banging her yet?
Ah, Jerry. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Respect. She's a beautiful soul. And she's married.
You can see that he's struggling the whole way, but Jerry doesn't believe it.
I've never stopped you before. Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me.
Now, did Ben and Jerry ice cream exist prior to
Yes.
Twin
Yeah,
Peaks?
it
Okay,
did.
it was already a thing
Mhm.
back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're intentionally named Ben and Jerry.
And they do eat ice cream a lot in the in the original.
They're always eating something.
They're always eating
together.
something, but there's a significant amount of ice cream and desserts. They love everything. They love
Yeah.
the sandwiches. But in this case, Jerry is about to get in a lot of trouble with his
Oh, man.
infused AK-47 sativa indica hybrid banana bread.
It's baked into this banana bread and infused in this potent spreadable jam. Wheels up.
I mean, I'm not a weed person, so I don't know, but it seems like a lot.
What you definitely don't need, and I'm so surprised because it seems like he's a bit of a veteran of all kinds of illicit substances. Like, why would he get into this situation where he has the banana bread and the preserves on top are also weed infused? Bro.
Yeah.
That's a lot of drug hubris.
He's gonna regret it.
Oh boy, does he.
I think I'm high!
I mean, he seems like he does not have much else going on besides, I'm gonna get fucked up and bug the shit out of my brother, you know?
Yeah.
He seems pretty high already. Before
He says he is. He's
Yeah.
like, I've got some of this swimming around in my brain already, and now I'm gonna eat this banana bread. Dude.
Yeah.
Asking for
Don't
trouble.
do
It's like
it.
real like Withnail and I energy. Withnail from Withnail and I.
Balls, I'll swallow it and run a mile. Cool your boots, man.
I like that he says wheels up.
Yeah.
And then he calls it R&D.
R&D, Brother Ben. It puts me in a groove, and where it stops, nobody knows. Where have you been, Ben? Yeah, my new legally sanctioned business is tripling our revenue.
He's definitely still looking at things from a business perspective. And he's wearing their mother's hat. At the sheriff's station, Lucy's playing solitaire, and a guy walks in who wants to speak with Sheriff Truman. She asks which one. It could make a difference.
Right. Although neither one of them is there.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it really does make a difference.
It doesn't.
Well, do you know which one? It could make a difference.
No, ma'am.
One is sick and the other one is fishing. It could make a difference.
I'll leave my card and call in another day.
I'll keep the card.
She is not very helpful in this scene.
I feel like that whole scene is just to show us that Lucy is still not helpful. Like, in case you were wondering.
Right.
Well, I mean, that guy just ejects, too. He says his line, and then she's looking down and talking, and he, like, sprints out the door. I was like, wow, man.
Yeah.
So that was some direction you took there.
It's like, I'll leave my card. Bye! I will keep this card. And I guess that's just to tell us that there are two Sheriff Trumans now.
One is
Sheriff
sick.
Truman, I'm sorry, honey.
Right.
And then we get a spooky fucking road at night.
And this is the one scene in the first episode that has any music, which is that, like, clanging industrial song to just, I guess, introduce Evil Coop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting because I noticed the first time the lack of music, and then this time I was like that jarring kind of cut to that with the clanging like immediately on the cut.
Right.
I was like, well, it's really well used. You're just watching this dark road at night, but it feels like something's happening here. Someone important's in this car. You know?
Yeah.
Because he got his theme song.
It's so crazy. It's a cover of American Woman, apparently, which is like impossible to recognize, by a band called the Muddy Magnolias, and then it was remixed by David Lynch. So I don't know if the original is that warbly crazy. I should look that up, but I love that choice. It's like a quintessential American rock and roll song, but it's all wrong.
Yeah.
And like Coop is the quintessential American dude, but this is all wrong Coop.
Ooh, boy, is it.
We have met Bad Coop before. We met him when he was in the bathroom at the Great Northern.
How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie?
We find out a little bit later on what he's been up to in the meantime.
But did we really meet him if he didn't have his cool guy long hair?
No. But some kind of like turquoise hair clasp in the back. It's a real choice. He's got like a snakeskin pattern dress shirt on.
And for me, it's a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom.
Leather jacket.
Yeah.
He doesn't wear sunscreen at all.
Yes.
Whoa, man, it's scary. Bad Coop is bad news.
He's so scary.
Oh my god, this scene is so fucking Lynch, it's unbelievable. We got some skinny dude at the door with a shotgun who gets taken out in the most spectacular fashion.
Where the hell do you think you're going?
I love the second one too. It's literally just a SWAT without moving. It's just like, yeah, it's just like, and the dude is out hardcore. It's such a fun choice because you're not sure exactly what hits what, but it's done well enough that you do feel like it did happen. It doesn't look like a bad action scene.
Right! That's amazing. How did they do that? That's like amazing fight choreography.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that he really did lay that dude out like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that guy is just really good at falling down. And then everyone else in this scene is just because they look weird, I think. Otis.
Well, looky here.
Otis.
Otis's eyebrows are just the star of the scene.
I was thinking his mustache.
Big. I mean, it is a complete set, but those eyebrows are going out like this far. I'm like, oh, when can I do that? What age is that possible?
Oh, man. Right?
You're just moosing up your eyebrows in the morning, making them come out. I'm into it.
It seemed like it'd be hard to see.
That would be very distracting to me if I had like product on my eyebrows. I'm a little sensitive to like scents of products and stuff. So I'm like, oh, God, if it was right by my eye like that.
Oh, it might be like wearing a visor.
You gotta suffer for your looks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
exactly.
we all do it in our own way.
I'm sure that's what Otis was going for. There's like some other silent people. This is something David Lynch loves. Is creepy people sitting in the corner of a room doing nothing.
Yeah. And always effective.
Yeah, I mean, the set decoration in this cabin is just on point. There's weird furs hanging on the wall, and they're not like nice furs. They're skins, basically. There's a jar of what looks like potatoes, but it's maybe supposed to be pickles, and like, ugh, it just looks horrible. Everything in there is so serial killer. And yet, no one that lives in this terrifying cabin is as scary as Bad Coop.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I definitely miss Kyle MacLachlan when he takes his acting hiatuses or whatever. And he'll pop up in some weird show, like he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that. But he's just perfect mix of like chewing the scenery, but also just super fluid and smooth. He goes 1,000% for whatever his role is. I always am like, oh, why isn't he in more stuff?
Yeah.
He was like a movie leading man at one point. I'm like, why not?
Why not? And he still looks amazing, as evidenced by later episodes. Like,
I think he might just be more drawn to being a character actor, you know?
Yeah.
He's like character actor at heart.
That's true. He
With
seems to be
young
doing
looks.
He
You know?
seems to be doing exactly what he wants to be. Because
Yeah.
he can work whenever David calls, but then also make his wine or whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to see like a buddy comedy with him and Bruce Campbell. Like,
Oh my god.
I don't know what they're doing.
As brothers.
Yeah, brothers, definitely.
Obviously.
He was was on Sex and the City for a little while, and I was like embarrassingly into that show for it being really not a good show.
Yeah.
He was married to one of the characters, and at the beginning, only really the first or second episode he's in, he's supposed to be really boring and everybody's annoyed at ever having to talk to Charlotte's boring husband, but he's just too charismatic and dynamic for that. Like, they had to like scrap that and a whole other thing. So like, this is not believable. The one thing he cannot play is boring.
Oh my god, that is fascinating. I didn't know that. Wow, I love that.
I watched that show too much too.
So first, Beulah. I just love Beulah.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't do much at all but stand there, but Beulah's just kind of a remarkable looking human being.
She could be in a John Waters movie.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Hello, Beulah.
How you?
She goes to fetch Ray and Daria, who I feel like were cast because his eyes are really close together and hers are really far apart. And when they stand next to each other, it's so noticeable.
Yeah.
It's not like either of them look super weird on their own, but for some reason the juxtaposition is really jarring.
Mr. C. Mr. C.
See you, Otis.
Mr. C. I think Otis says Mr. C twice.
2 Coopers.
They leave, so Bad Coop is just there to pick up Ray and Daria. Now we're back in NYC, and boy, oh boy, is this an interesting scene.
Yeah, there's a lot. I have so many questions about this scene.
Tracy's returned to visit Sam with 2 more empty lattes.
Right.
Hey, Tracy.
The security guard is not there.
He's not here. No one is here.
Sam checks the bathroom. He's not in there.
Weird. Where is he?
Does this by any chance mean that I can go in there with you?
She looks a little scared. I can't really read her expression if she's like scared or really anxious to work her magic and get in there.
Like that's what that's what I wrote down. Like, why does she want to get in so bad? Is it just horniness? I wrote that when I watched it yesterday, and then I watched it again today. Like, she's super horny for Sam. I don't really know why. I feel like she could do better.
Yeah. So that actress, I
probably
know I've
his
seen her
ambivalence.
before.
I feel like she looks a lot like an Olsen.
I think she was a
But she-
child actor on a sitcom.
Her name is Madeline
something
Zima.
else.
I must have watched it because I was trying to place it, but I know I'd seen her on something.
The Nanny.
Oh!
With Fran Drescher?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Oh, I did not watch that. Oh, she was on Californication, which I did watch that.
Yeah, I remember her from that, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, she's doing good work, I think.
I like her.
Yeah.
She's aloof, and her motivations are very unclear. But she's interested in all of it.
Yeah, I think you're right that she's just curious and horny.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just that it's like forbidden.
Because she's like, I mean, it's not as much fun to try and bang him in his studio apartment or whatever. Like, this is a much more exciting place to do this.
Yeah.
So both the coffee cups, first I thought they were numbered 1 and 2, but it's like a Z written on there?
I think it's like the logo of the coffee place that
Oh,
she's from.
so it's not like a written name with like
No, I
a
don't
marker,
think
which
so.
is okay.
I think that's what's
I think it's supposed to be the shop logo.
I was like, whose name is Z, and why is there 2 of them?
She stole those copies. Editor's note. The black Z's on the white cups also recalled chevron pattern floor from the red room.
Since there's no one here to stop you, I guess you could come in for a little while. But I don't know how you're gonna get out if the guard comes back.
Let's not overthink this opportunity.
They get in there and they kind of pretend to drink their empty cups, and then Sam asks,
Do you want to make out a little?
What do you think?
Yeah, and then they do, and it's just so slow, so much tension with the empty box and the cameras, and it keeps cutting to what I assume is behind the box that kind of looks like Darth Vader's chest.
Right.
With all the black tubes and buttons and just so much of that ominous hum.
Yeah.
I think that's what the closed caption calls it. Oh, Sam has before said, I've never seen anything in this box.
I haven't seen anything since I started. But the guy I replaced, he saw something once.
What?
He wouldn't tell me. Or couldn't tell me. We're not supposed to say anything about this place or that glass box.
But He's about to see something in the box.
Sure is.
Yeah, another place where it's not big FX. It just darkens. It just turns black, but it's so effective. It's creepy, you know?
Yeah.
It's visually different than a lot of other ways you could have done it. I
Yeah.
think it makes it distinctive and you feel ominous of like what's going on here. It's not like a black smoke as much as it's just darkening.
Yeah, it's just like he color corrected just that one part of the screen, which maybe is what he did, but yeah, it's amazing. And then the amorphous blob, which at this point is known as the experiment. We get the whole experiment's backstory in episode 8, which is so fun. But the experiment emerges from the box, breaks the glass. They filmed this by spraying the actors with blood from a hose as the camera zoomed in on them.
That's not a fun day.
Yeah. Lynch initially planned to also bat them in the face with 2 large blue balls on sticks, but then he decided to get that. And neither actor was told or shown what they were reacting to, which is funny. It's always the case that you can't really imagine what it's going to look like,
Right.
but in this case, like, I also can't explain it to you. I kind of think it's effective, though, because it's like, you see something scary that would freak you out, and it would be less scary if he described something that might be seeing.
Yeah.
Totally.
What a cool way to do it. So what do you think about this, Sue? What do you think's going on here?
What do I think is going on with like the thing?
You said you have questions.
Oh, well, most of my questions were just about Tracy being so horny for Sam. I guess I can't tell if they have hooked up before because I feel like she goes really fast. They kiss for like 10 seconds and she stands up and takes off all her clothes.
Yeah.
That's fast and bold. You know?
That's pretty fast. Yeah.
I know we learned more about this experience later episodes, but is there fucking drawing this thing out or is it just coincidence?
Right, that's...
No. Well, it's coincidence because the experiment, which is Judy, is following Coop when he's escaping from the room.
Oh.
In the future episode, you've probably seen this one.
Yeah,
he's kind of floats in the box at one point.
Yeah.
Like while they're out in the lobby looking in the bathroom, Coop's actually in the box, floating there, and Judy's chasing him, and she follows him to that. But then she's like, well, I'm here, I might as well fuck up these guys. And she's probably also a little pissed that she missed him, like she kind of lost his track.
Right. So just bad timing for these kids.
Bad timing. And it's adjacent to Bob, so the experiment gave birth to Bob. They love sex and violence equally.
Well,
and that's what they feed off of.
And it's such a great horror movie trope. You got naked and you
Sex
fucked.
makes you
And
get
that's
killed.
And
you
they're
get
gonna
murdered.
die.
Yeah, it's just so ingrained in that. So it was kind of fun to have that kind of scene. But I wasn't sure if Judy was drawn to the fucking or not.
Yeah, it's a coincidence. But she was not opposed to a nice little snack. Blackhorn, South Dakota. A lady we've never met before named Marjorie Green walks down the hall of her apartment building with her dog Armstrong.
What is it, Armstrong? Ruth, are you in there?
Armstrong really wants to get into Ruth Davenport's apartment, and it smells bad. And she's never called the police before, maybe, or done anything before.
Doesn't know her address all of a sudden.
Yeah, you don't know me. This is Marjorie Green, but my neighbor. There's something wrong. Then there's that terrible smell, and Armstrong smelled it in the. My address? Oh, I don't know. Oh my goodness. I know this. You know I know this.
I mean, I think you said Lynch loves bad actors. She is like so bad. It kind of makes it fun because she's so bad. The character is so bonkers. Like just without the basic amount of common sense that anyone has.
Yeah. She tells the 911 operator, the first thing she says is, "You don't know me."
Right. I'm not expecting to know.
Yeah.
This isn't like her personal line, you know.
It'd be weirder if you did know them. Right. I love that there's a shot in the scene of just the doorknob. That's such a sweet little Lynch moment of like ominous doorknob. Like out of context it's a doorknob, but because there's been a smell coming from inside this apartment and they can't get into it, it's like, the doorknob.
Yeah.
Marjorie gives them quite the runaround.
Ma'am, is there a manager on site with a key?
Barney's usually here. Do you want me to go check?
Yes, ma'am, if you don't mind.
Oh, I just remembered. Barney's not here. He's a funny one, that Barney. He's in the hospital, not the regular hospital.
I know, like, why did you even call the cops? Seems like you don't want them to succeed, actively hindering this investigation in a way.
Yeah. I feel like they recognize the smell right away.
Right.
They give each other a lot of knowing glances. I really like when she says the manager is in the hospital, not the regular hospital. Yeah, the whole thing. The manager has the keys, but he leaves the keys with his brother, but she doesn't know his brother, but the maintenance man does. So they go find him, and he's clearly in the middle of a crime.
Did Harvey send you?
Mr. Fillmore, we need a key for Ruth Davenport's apartment. We're trying to find Barney's brother.
Well, who told you I was going to see Chip?
Who's Chip?
That's Barney's brother.
Do you have a phone number for Chip?
Oh, no. Chip? Chip ain't got no phone.
He's not happy that someone sent the cops to him.
He might as well have had a stocking over his
Right,
face.
I know. He does not play it cool. Oh, who called the cops on me?
Yeah.
I know, he's like immediately admitting that he's doing something
Right.
wrong.
Like, it's funny, if the cops came up to you and were like, we want to ask you some questions. Is that a two kinds of people thing, like you assume they're after you, or it's like they want to know what you know about a thing that you have obviously nothing to do with,
It's just funny that he'd immediately be like, oh, you got me. Wait, what? What are you talking about?
Right, well, then later when the cops go to talk to Hastings, that is his attitude. Like, oh, what's this about?
Right.
Gentlemen, how can I help you with the investigation of a crime that I'm sure I had nothing to do with?
Oh my god, you're so right. What a commentary on class.
Right.
Wow.
It's like they are actually just trying to get his help.
Yes.
And he has just assumed, all right, I'm busted for something.
Yeah. And whatever it is he's doing is definitely not as bad as murdering a lady.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but also,
having this
he had a comically large phone. And I couldn't
noticed
tell if,
that.
I was like, is this guy just like 3 feet tall? Because the phone is like this.
There was like one iPhone that was really big. But I think it was a long time ago, like it would have been before this was even shot.
Yeah.
There was just one time where they're like, what if we went back to huge phones? And then everyone was like, no. So then they said, okay, just kidding. So it makes sense that a character like that might have that generation that he got really cheap. Because you couldn't put it in your pocket. Like, it wouldn't fit in any pocket.
At least he has a phone, because Chip ain't got no phone.
I know. Chip ain't got no phone.
I really love this line delivery on Chip ain't got no phone. Chip ain't got no phone.
Chip ain't got no phone.
What a silly thing to say.
Yeah. Duh, you don't know this already?
Yeah, then he's like, am I free to go?
Am I free to go? Gentlemen, am I free to go?
I love that he yells that after them, and then they just ignore him. They don't even answer.
I mean, really, please, just arrest him. He's got something.
Yeah, he's not going to rest easy anyway at this point. You might as well. Just take him in. All right, now you're free to go.
He's definitely got the crime and punishment thing happening right now. But they do get into the apartment, because Marjorie finally remembers that she has a key to Ruth Davenport's apartment after all.
Do you think that maybe Ruth's out of town?
Why?
Well, it would be a shame because I'm supposed to water her pants when she's out of town. I have the key.
Do you think she might be out of town?
Why would they have an idea whether
I know. No, actually, that's not what we think. Based on the smell.
Yeah, I mean, the character is such a great combination of terrible acting and terrible writing. And it's, like, actually pretty entertaining.
See, I don't know if it's terrible writing, because I kind of feel like sometimes you do meet people who are just so nonsensical.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think she's intentionally a very frustrating person.
But it's, like, out of a Fairley Brothers, or, like, it's just the most ridiculous comedy of, like, oh, I have the key all along, even though you've spent the last 20 minutes.
Right. Like the guy said, we're going to have to call a locksmith. That would be the time to mention.
Yeah.
No need, I have a key. Do cops call locksmiths? I'm
surprised they wouldn't just bust it in.
Yeah, they probably would bust in, but they do call locksmiths. I worked for an attorney's office, and the sheriff would have to do that sometimes, like, get into place, because they're like, we don't know how to pick locks.
Well, I guess it makes sense they wouldn't bust in if they're pretty sure she's already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to risk disturbing the crime scene.
You don't know she's dead, might be in distress or something.
Well, they could. I think they knew what the smell was. The smell was like, there's been a corpse in there for a while.
Smell, yeah.
And that corpse has been there for a little while.
Yeah.
Oh my god, nobody shoots a corpse like David Lynch.
Yeah.
He makes it look so horrifying. I mean, it is obviously horrifying, but CSI or whatever, like, nobody makes it look as awful as that. Jesus Christ, it's so horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that is part of it. We're used to seeing corpses on shows now, they do it a lot. But it is always like, oh, it looks like a mannequin. He's like, this is the fleshiness of the wound in the face. And you see like the interior bone, it's real detailed and he just hangs on it.
Yeah.
It's unsettling.
The
like,
body is starting to decompose already all over the bed, like all the fluids and the blood all congealing around it. Oh my god. I'm sure it's realistic. And then we meet one of my favorite characters, Constance Talbot, played by the wonderful Jane Addams. She's happy that Dave is behaving himself for a change by wearing gloves in the crime scene. Right?
Constance?
Good for you, Dave. You're behaving yourself for a change.
I guess it's an ACAB reference. Not exactly ACAB because he didn't quite mess it up. But Constance has to remind Dave to wear gloves.
and he's so proud of himself, like, look what I did.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
I know.
You happy? I wore gloves in a crime scene.
Praise me.
Yeah.
I almost always love what any David Lynch character says when they see a body or something wrong with a body, and in this case it's uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's always like some kind of understatement. I guess the cops do that.
The corpse is Ruth Davenport's head and
the body of a blind man.
Editor's note. We learn later that this is the headless body of Major Garland Briggs, who also disappeared 25 years ago. But this body is still that of a man in his mid-40s.
That was the uh-oh. That is kind of a big uh-oh.
Yeah. It seems like this would be a little more notable.
Yeah, definitely.
Like at least a conversation, but I guess not. Not in Twin Peaks.
No.
What more is there to say? But uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh,
that's a big oopsie you got there.
This is not going to be an easy case to solve. And then we're at the log lady's cabin. She's calling Hawk, who is now the deputy chief.
Margaret, what can I do for you?
Hawk.
And she says that her log has a message for him, the title of the episode.
My log has a message for you.
Did you know I had the title line in?
My log has a message for you.
The way she's kind of petting the log, it's like the log just told her to call. Right. I think it's really sweet. Like, I'm going to tell him, it's okay.
Something is missing, and you have to find it. It has to do with Special Agent Dale Cooper. The way you will find it has something to do with your heritage.
It's sad to see how sick she is.
Yeah, she is really sick. Catherine Coulson died 4 days after she finished shooting her scenes.
Wow.
This was the first scene that had like two of the original characters that I like specifically thought, oh wow, you know, they acted in this TV show on primetime TV 25 years ago, did not do much since then, and here they come back, and you could tell they're just putting in real good performances. Some of the people have been kind of waiting, I think, for this. The first go-around was very soap opera, you know, there wasn't a lot of, like, polish to the acting going on there. But I thought this scene with those two just talking to each other, she was kind of dead-eyed and kind of monotone delivery, but at the same point, I thought that was very effective. I thought she did good work, as sick as she was, you know.
Yeah.
I thought his work on the other end of the phone was good, too. It was a nice scene to see him back. You know, Ben and Jerry earlier, I don't know that they spent 25 years, like, working on their acting at all.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
But these two I did. I feel like they were there to like really be in the moment.
Absolutely. They do some amazing work on the show. That's just the beginning of it. And you get the impression that they've had a relationship all these years, talking to each other.
And then I feel like even in the first season, like he kind of has a special fondness for her.
Yes, he does. I think
I feel like you could still see it.
They get each other. Like, she's one of the only people that understands what's going on in the woods, you know. Most people ignore all that, but they both really know that shit goes down in the woods. And it's not to be trifled with. I like the details on his desk. He's got a little Lincoln log cabin. He's got a big old green stapler, a sign that says Deputy Chief, and a greasy paper bag.
Good night, Hawk.
Good night, Margaret.
Back at the Buckhorn police station, Constance finds another set of prints at the apartment.
The head is definitely Ruth Davenport, and we've got male John Doe. But there's another set of prints all over the apartment, and we've got to hit a definite Local hit.
They are surprised. Dave and Constance both know this guy.
Bill Hastings. Oh my God.
He's my kid's principal.
So Detective Mackley, that's Dave, goes to the Hastings home to arrest Bill, but the Morgans are coming for dinner.
Yeah.
So what are they gonna do? Phyllis Hastings is the woman who answers the door, and she's Bill's just awful. I mean, they're both terrible people, but Phyllis is a real tart.
Dave, hey, what's going on, buddy? Bill, I'm gonna have to put you under arrest.
Oh my God, Bill. Oh my God.
It's okay, honey. I haven't done anything wrong.
I want to come with you.
No, stay here. This has been a mistake.
But the Morgans are coming for dinner.
I mean, it sets the tone immediately.
Yeah.
How she's just like, but they're coming for dinner.
Yeah,
You know,
like their whole vibe. And,
Yeah.
and he's like, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm just going to jail for a little bit. Like, don't worry about
Just gonna
it.
go talk to them, clear this right up.
Yeah. So what am I supposed to tell the Morgans? Exactly. Like, she just want to be like, my husband was arrested. That's not going to look good.
Right.
We take a brief break from the whole Hastings saga to go back to Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department, where Hawk is bringing all the old files into the conference room. Andy and Lucy come in, and he explains to them what the log lady told him, and Lucy points out that Agent Cooper is also missing.
Right.
He hasn't been seen or heard from since before Wally was born, and Wally's 24 years old.
He was born on the same day as Marlon Brando.
Andy wanted to name him Marlon, and we haven't even gotten a Christmas card from
He
Agent
hasn't even seen Wally.
On the same day as Marlon Brando.
I never even got a Christmas card from Agent Cooper.
I don't think Bad Coop sends Christmas cards.
I don't know if even Good Coop sends Christmas cards. I don't know. I would be surprised to get a Christmas card from Cooper.
You're right.
He's pretty thoughtful. He's always taking the notes. Probably one of them is remember to send Christmas
He'd be
cards.
telling Diane to send Christmas cards, let's be honest. And she'd be like, fuck you, Coop.
I did think that was kind of a fun scene to get back to that comedy aspect of those
Yes!
the lovers, you know, and a window into their 25 years of life, you know, pretty much as you would expect.
Yeah, like what's been going on all this time.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I can fill in the blanks from here.
Right? Totally. I know, it's kind of nice. I kind of like just thinking about the three of them solving their little local crimes together.
Andy, Lucy, it's late. Go down to storage and get those files that we talked about. Tomorrow morning, lay them all out. I'll bring the coffee and the donuts.
Okay, Deputy Chief Hawk.
And I like also that Hawk is now bringing the donuts and the coffee in the morning. Like
Yes,
at some
in
point
the
over the
morning.
years, he put his foot down and was like, Lucy, we can't do this night donuts.
Right. Why are we doing it that way?
Leaving them out on the table overnight all night.
Yes.
Ugh.
Someone just get up early and get them in the morning.
Smart. But then we're back at Buckhorn. Detective Mackley is interrogating Bill about Ruth Davenport, and at first he's got a real solid story. She's a librarian at their school. He'd last seen her a couple months ago, but then he has a 45-minute gap between a school meeting and getting home. He takes his assistant Betty home, and then Mackley's like, what happened in those 45 minutes? And that's when Bill's like, I should probably have my lawyer come in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I gave my assistant Betty a ride home. Something wrong with her car. Something wrong.
That's when the tables are turned. It's almost like you remember something.
I think I'd like to speak to George. He's my lawyer.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell me before we get the lawyer involved?
Which I think he maybe remembers his dream.
Yeah.
And is like, oh yeah, that maybe wasn't a dream. Oh, fuck.
I think Matthew Lillard is doing great work there.
Yeah, it's a great
I
job.
really love this scene. Because the first time, I was like pretty convinced that he had no idea anything was going on. He barely knew Ruth Davenport. Oh, from the library?
Yeah. Which is a little sus. It's like, what principal doesn't know their librarian?
Right.
So that's when Hastings is officially arrested, and they go back to the Hastings home, and Phyllis is real put out that they're going to search the place, and they search his car, and they find a little nondescript piece of flesh.
I was like, is that an ear? No.
I know, I
Tongue?
thought
No.
ear first. I thought this could be a Blue Velvet callback, but no, it's just...
Yeah. David Lynch has actually clarified, one of the few things he clarified was that it's not a specific body part, it is just a chunk.
I mean, that is kind of a good move.
Did he not realize it was there and just put the thing on top of it, or was he trying to hide it and not just get rid of it?
Well, he doesn't remember.
Oh.
There was some Black Lodge possession shenanigans happening.
So the spirit he was possessed by was not an actual very good criminal.
They don't care about getting away with it. They're like, we already did it.
Yeah. Win-win.
Yeah. And then also it's interesting that the flashlight isn't working.
Yes.
My flashlight's broke.
Just like when we first went to the morgue.
I have to apologize again for the fluorescent lights. I think it's a bad transformer.
That's quite all right.
Blinky lights.
Yeah, and I've never had a flashlight that stopped working by blinking in the exact sequence.
Right, yeah.
I was like, that flashlight.
That's not just a setting that you hit. Just push the button again and then...
And then it's credits. And the fireman is listening to the sounds of the credits.
Yeah.
It's designed to be watched with part 2, but I think it's good to break these up. Even though it's kind of sad that it doesn't end with a fun musical performance like all the other episodes.
The booker at the Roadhouse just works so hard. Does a good job. It's amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Roadhouse is proud to welcome...
We're going to talk about the LVP. Who do you have for an LVP, Anna Malone?
I gotta say, even though she's pretty funny, I have to say Marjorie's the LVP. I mean, it's like, why do you even call the cops? Like, just open the door yourself. If you don't know your address...
She needs to go to not the regular hospital, maybe.
Right. I forgot the guy's name. Is it Harvey? The guy who had to talk to the cops and wasn't happy about it. Chip ain't got a phone.
That's Hank.
Hank. You really messed with his day.
Harvey's Barney, the manager's brother. I know, she just kept mentioning all these people. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Marjorie,
LVP.
Good choice. What about you?
I'm going Doc. I mean, he really just bought some shovels.
Oh, Jacoby. Yeah.
It sets the entire tone of the series. The first modern shot, and he just buys a couple of shovels, delivery, and that's it. So, not a lot of value. Maybe later digging's very important, but this first episode, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah. We do get back to the shovels.
Yeah, he's not digging with them, but it's still a lot of time to spend.
Metaphorically, he is, right?
Yeah, and more symbolic shovels.
This is your shiny gold shovel. 2 coats, guaranteed. Shovel your way out of the shit and into the truth.
Which is even worse.
Yeah. He's pretty terrible.
I've picked him as LVP before.
Numerous
At
times.
least once, yeah.
He will be again probably too, yeah. But I'm going to go with Marjorie too, but my second place was Phyllis. But there's time to hate on Phyllis. I gotta go with Marjorie, who is just wasting so much time and is barely functioning. I don't know what's going on with that lady. She's got some problems.
Well, much like the dream sequences in Lynch, watching this twice in a row, when I knew it was coming, I knew how bad she was. I was just hypnotized by her this time watching here with you, and I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what is this character? It just seems so out of left field on so many different levels. The more I watched it, I feel like if I rewatch this the third time, I'll be waiting for her to show up.
Yeah.
To study her whole deal.
Her delivery is very fascinating. It's like not exactly bad acting. It's kind of like that extra level of almost like Tommy Wiseau, The Room
Very
bad acting.
much. Yeah. You could pick someone off the street, they would be able to do it better. So are you making a choice?
Yeah.
On like...
I'm sure he absolutely is making... I mean, like a lot of the way he casts is like he just meets people. He's like, you should be in my thing.
Yeah. And she does break into an accent a couple of times in there, like a Minnesota Fargo.
Has a questionable accent.
It just pops in.
She's like, where am I? Buckhorn, South Dakota? I don't know what that's like. I mean, I don't even really either. Like, literally the only time I've ever thought about South Dakota is in this show.
I drove through it a couple times.
Yeah?
At least once.
South Dakota's pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So long.
It's long. I really love the Badlands landscape. I think it's just gorgeous. There's a lot of that. Sioux City, there's another really fun city. When we go on tour, we stop there, and since there's not much going on, everybody would come out. You're just some stupid band from DC, and like front page of the paper of South Dakota Times or whatever.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
yeah, it was pretty fun. It's a lot of cowboys kind of stuff. You know, it's a hard life, but I dug it. I would go back. I'd go there before I go to Ohio.
Oh, yeah. That seems right. Awesome. Ceiling Fan Award. what was the scariest moment for you?
There's a lot. I have a few contenders, but I'm gonna go with the shot with Mr. C with the scary trees, because the trees are so scary and so jarring, it's so loud. And I had some contenders for this week, the scary trees.
Yeah.
I would probably go with, it's the obvious one is the experiment coming out.
Yeah,
right? It's
that's pretty scary.
It's obvious, but it's effective, and it's jarring. The sound design is great, the visual design is great, and the gore. There are some good ones. Really drastic cuts are pretty good, but I think that's the winner.
For me, it is a bit the scary tree, but it's really more when Coop gets out of the car, bad Coop, and you're like, it's a bad Coop. Just seeing bad Coop for the first time, it's so jarring and scary.
Right.
Because you're just like, I wanted to see my beloved Coop.
You've already seen current Kyle MacLachlan earlier, so you're really not expecting this, scary.
Yeah, and it just gets your wheels turning too about all the shit he's been up to in the last 25 years, and then especially when he just hits that guy, takes him out so fast.
He's been up to no good.
It's just very effective.
First time through, I did feel like Evil Coop was a little bit like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3.
What? How dare you?
But the costuming is really on the nose. It's wonderful. You get it. He's bad. But the hair, the big tan, and the clothes, you can dial back a little bit.
Well, I kind of like it though because it kind of recalls Bob, right? Bob loves long, greasy hair.
But he should have the denim,
And he's not exactly Bob. He has Bob's with him sometimes, but he's like, I want to set myself apart. I want to express myself.
Sure, when you put it that way, he's kind of a combo of Coop and Bob,
Yeah.
Coop is not a denim guy.
No. God, do we ever see more jeans? I don't know.
That would be awesome. I want to see full denim tuxedo.
Tuxedo.
What if he...
Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake.
If he had the 3-piece suit, but it was all denim.
Oh my God.
That would be amazing.
Ooh. I want to see it.
That's kind of terrifying to think about. But it's a good segue to the Fish in the Percolator Award.
There was a fish in the percolator.
What's your funniest moment?
I like Phyllis, Cornelia guests. We have guests for dinner tonight.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That is really good.
I'm going to go with dude who had everything except a Hamburglar outfit on. Obviously committing crimes. And the police seemed very disinterested.
And he's so scared.
Yeah.
I know.
That was a good one.
I kind of just really laugh a lot during the Tracy stuff. I think Tracy's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
I just love her whole vibe. And I know it's not as laugh out loud funny as everything, but it's just, it really tickles me.
Yeah.
And I'm just always really happy to see her. And it's too bad we won't see her again. She's gone.
Hard to do you, Tracy.
MVP.
All right, my MVP is Hastings.
Oh,
I can't take my eyes off him anytime he's in a scene. He just kills this part for me, just nails it. Like I said before, how we've seen the cops go to ask Hank some questions, and then just that attitude. Cops are at my house. This is not something that is immediately of a concern to me. I'm sure I will be able to help them in any way I can. And then I really like the scene when he's at the station and talking to them and slowly starting to look over his shoulder more and maybe I should just give my lawyer a call. He really does it for me in this episode.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a good one. Mine is Bad Coop, even though I'm terrified of him and I don't like him and I want our real Coop back. It's just so effective. There's just nothing more effective than knowing that your audience wants good Coop and giving them so much bad Coop. Just how bad he is. He really is the opposite of good Coop. To the point where even his eyes look demonic and black.
Yeah.
He's able to convey whole other personas. That's Kyle MacLachlan. So maybe my MVP is Kyle MacLachlan. There's a lot of time for that, but Bad Coop is just so fucking effective. And
So mine's a little bit of a cop-out. I don't know if it'll work, but I'd probably say Lynch.
That's not a cop-out at all.
I mean, just every decision he's making here, and have created something so iconic, and then be able to throw so much of it away and be like, I set this bar before, I'm going to set a bar in outer space this time. I just am like so impressed from this start, setting the tone of what the new return was going to be. But if it had to be a character, I was probably going to go Lillard too.
Oh, nice.
I mean, he's basically like monologuing there, and you just get a lot of time with his performance. I thought was really good.
You're right, yeah. I know, I think Lynch is a very fair pick.
Okay.
I love it. Did you notice any motifs, Annie?
Oh gosh, I wasn't really looking out for that. Maybe the ways different people approach so-called authority figures, because I already talked about Hank and Hastings, but then also Tracy and the security guard. Oh, I'm so curious. Like, you can tell she is used to, okay, let's just let you have a little peek. I guess that's the motif. It's like the way people expect figures to react to them.
Right, and cops. There's just a lot of cops. I guess a security guard is like a rent-a-cop. There's cop adjacent.
Also, there's a security guard of sorts in the woods, like with a gun. And and that's not what he was expecting that interaction to go.
You're right. Oh my god, it's so amazing that he tries to come back and he's tiptoeing in. And Coop is just like waiting there for him to get close enough.
And it's also funny that he takes him out immediately, but then he's like, you need someone better at the door.
Yeah.
I think that's, did he not want to get through with no trouble at all, or he just doesn't want anyone else to be able to?
Yeah, they're kind of taking care of some of his business interests, so he definitely wants them to protect from other bad people.
Yeah.
I know, who's worse than Coop, the bad Coop. Yeah, that's a good one. I also noticed some playing cards. Like Lucy's playing solitaire, and then there's just some cards scattered around the table of the cabin in the woods. I mean, playing cards come back, so I thought that was interesting. Well, thank you so much for visiting.
Yeah, this was fun.
Twin Peaks and the return 25 years later. Matt, what would you like to plug?
Two Thangs. Got the website, got the Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, all that sort of stuff. At 2.thangs, THANGS on Instagram. Usually if you just put the A in there, you'll get like me somewhere. A couple other rappers might pop up, but that's about it.
Really?
Yeah. They do Thangs in song titles a bit. So I got like Lazy Bone from Bone Thugs Harmony did Doing Thangs, which is pretty good. It's like my Two Thangs theme song, I think.
Oh my god, yes. If you ever have a commercial for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Gotta get that paper, man. Gotta get this thriller, man. I'ma buy those pesos, man. Knowing that we doing things, lazy that we moving things. Gotta get that money.
Hi, this is Two Thangs, and I just wanted to bump this little announcement on the backside of the podcast to talk about my book that I have coming out this August. I traveled around the country and visited 42 of my paintings that live all over the place and talked to the people about why they picked their two things and talked a little bit myself about making each one of the paintings. Go ahead and pre-order it on www.twothangs.com or come to any of the events I'll be throwing this August as release parties. Thanks.
If you enjoyed this episode of Really Weird Stuff, please take a minute to give us 5 stars on your preferred podcast app, especially Apple and Spotify. If you did not enjoy this episode, no further action is necessary. Follow us on Instagram at Really Weird Stuff Pod, on Blue Sky at Really Weird Stuff, on our website reallyweird.stuffpod.com, and on YouTube at Really Weird Stuff Pod. Really Weird Stuff, a Twin Peaks podcast, is hosted by Jessica Baxter and Amy Green. Music by Angelo Badalamenti, Julie Cruz, and Jessica Baxter. Produced and edited by Divine Betty Media. Thank you for listening.